Welcome to AdaShape Introduction for Early Testers. First, unzip the file and navigate to the executable protoviewer.exe. Double-click protoviewer.exe to start AdaShape. This is your first model. The model is saved automatically to disk as you edit it. To navigate in the model, follow these interactions. Left mouse button pressed, while cursor is touching the background, rotates the scene. Moving the mouse while middle mouse button is pressed, pans left, right, up and down. Right mouse button zooms in and out. Currently, we have 4 parametric shapes: cube, capsule, sphere, and a cylinder. All of these are solid and printable. To create one of these shapes, click on a button with the Shapes image. We left-click and drag on the shapes to move them after creation. To undo an action, click on the Undo button at the top left corner, with arrow to the left. To redo an action, click on the button with arrow to right. We can fuse existing shapes together or use them to cut one another. To join, cut, and intersect shapes, you must have 2 shapes selected. To select several shapes, hold Shift down while left-clicking shapes. Selected shapes become yellow. Notice how the 3 buttons lit up as we selected the cylinder and the capsule. When using Cut, the shape that you selected last will cut the first shape you selected. Join action groups and fuses 2 shapes together. The shapes don't need to touch for the join to work. Intersecting shapes cuts away all non-intersecting volume. To delete a shape, press the X button on top row or Delete button on your keyboard. The cylinder we cut with the capsule has a vaguely cheese-looking shape. Let's export this shape as 3MF to demonstrate how you can 3D print these shapes. First, let's make sure the shape sits on the ground plane. Then, from the File menu, select Export 3MF action. The Export dialog allows you to set the export units and scale. We use here the default settings. Let's call the exported model cheese.3mf. The 3MF model format is compatible with most slicers and printers and allows you to print scale-accurate models. Generally, when 3D printing shapes, you first bring in the shape to a program called Slicer. Slicer prepares the model for printing. Next, let's import a shape. The Import 3D Mesh function supports many 3D formats, including STL, 3MF, and GLTF. We can only import files that contain 3D printable shapes. Since most formats don't guarantee that the shapes stored in them can actually be 3D printed, it's possible their import fails. Shape import is robust and can't crash the program, so you are safe to experiment with importing if you are not sure if a specific file is supported or not. Generally, if a model is designed for 3D printing, you should be able to import it. Here we imported this nice corner piece. The imported shapes work similarly as the shapes we created earlier. We can rotate shapes by clicking and dragging at the rotate tools that appear at the corners of a selected shape. There are 3 unique rotation tools. Each rotates the shape around one of the colored axes: red, green, or blue. To align the shape along one of the coordinate axes, you can use the 6 Align buttons at the second row. You can rotate shapes freely, or you can enable Snap function to constrain rotation to fixed angles. Next, let's show how you can add a hole to a shape, for example for screws. We will use the Cut action shown earlier. Let's create a cylinder to punch the hole. We can set an exact radius using the Value References menu on the right. We can edit some value both by dragging the white dots on the shapes or editing the value references. Let's turn off the point layer so we can focus on moving the cylinder. You can drag shapes along single coordinate axis by left-clicking and dragging on one of the arrow tools. Let's punch a hole using the Cut tool. We can edit the result shape using linked references. Let's first drag the shape a bit to a side, then create a linked copy. Then we run Explode Linked action. This unpacks the cut to the original shapes, which are linked to the shapes on the left. By moving the unpacked cylinder clone, we can change the cut shape on the left. We can also change the radius of the cylinder. We would like a second hole. Let's use the undo button to go a few steps back. Let's run explode action on it. Let's clone link the cylinder to do a pair of identical holes. We shift left click to select both cylinders, then make sure they are aligned along the green axis by using the Align Along Green Axis tool. Then, we first join the two cylinders together, adjust their placement, and use the cut action to cut holes. These were not perfectly centered, but that's all right. We can always go back and fix things. Finally, we can export the modified shape as 3MF to be printed or used in other programs. That's it for now. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you find AdaShape fun and engaging. The software is at an alpha stage, so the functions are not complete yet, and there may be glitches. If you make a model that you like, please export it as 3MF for safekeeping for now.